The Madness of Reason, Consciousness, the Product of Collective Unconsciousness, written by Davide Appi, narrated by Sandra Ouellet, published by TekTime. The Madness of Reason, Consciousness, the Product of Collective Unconsciousness. Superconscience is unpredictable, capable of subverting the established order. The emergence of a minimum sufficient number of awakening superconsciousnesses is the greatest nightmare for the system. Davide Appi. Copyright 2002 Davide Appi. All rights reserved. The Madness of Reason, Consciousness, the Product of Collective Unconsciousness. One day, fear knocked on the door. Courage went to open it, but there was no one there. Johann Wolfgang Goethe. When we use consciousness, we are slaves to the system, as the latter is able to condition it at will, thanks to education, culture, and the media. Instead, when we use superconsciousness, we get out of the cage and are free to be ourselves. Davide Appi. If we forgive enemies, there are no more enemies. If we condemn them and fight them, we reinforce them. That's why war doesn't work. Davide Appi. They fear love because it creates a world they cannot control. George Orwell. We revolutionaries are dangerous to the system. We are like a factory defect. Davide Appi. Summary. Chapter 1. Introduction. Page 15. Chapter 2. Consciousness is conflictual by its very nature. Page 21. Chapter 3. Primary instincts dominate consciousness. Page 26. Chapter 4. The system traps us. Page 34. Chapter 5. Cornerstones of the system. Page 37. Chapter 6. The society. Page 46. Chapter 7. The System, page 48. Chapter 8. The Dominant Culture, page 55. Chapter 9. Revolutionary Culture, page 61. Chapter 10. The Politics, page 69. Chapter 11. Information, page 79. Chapter 12. Media, page 82. Chapter 13. Education, page 91. Chapter 14. The Religion, page 104. Chapter 15. Economics and Finance, page 107. Chapter 16. Law Enforcement, page 113. Chapter 17. The Sport, page 118. Chapter 18. Conformity as Power Controls Consciences, page 121. Chapter 19. The War of Power Over Our Consciences, page 130. Chapter 20. Consciousness, the Product of Collective Unconsciousness, page 139. Chapter 21. Infinity, the Gateway to Superconsciousness, page 148. Chapter 22. The Quantum Physics, page 153. Chapter 23. The Meditation, page 160. Chapter 24. Silence versus Conscience, page 165. Conclusion, page 166. Other published titles, page 171. Author's information, page 172. Author's notes and contacts, page 173. Initial note. In this book, I discuss consciousness, ego consciousness, superconsciousness, and awakening consciousness. To make the exposition of the contained concepts clear, I give an overview of these terms to make the reading more understandable. If we consult a dictionary, we find the following definition of consciousness. Awareness the subject has of himself and the external world with which he is in relationship, of his own identity and the complex of his inner activities, or ability to assess one's gifts and aptitudes. In a more general sense, consciousness is associated with knowledge, the knowledge of one's acts through reflection and analysis, the exact realization of a given
Sample complete. Ready to continue?